Alright, so this is inside a grain bin. So you can see all the way up there. So that's where the grain would come in the top. And this entire bin would get filled up. So there's the door, that's how you get in. And then this is a ladder, it goes all the way up to that little opening. So when this is full, all the grain gets sucked into this hole and goes up through that pipe right there. It's kind of crazy. But what happened, so in my story that I shared with all the boys when I had a fire inside the grain bin, we had an electric motor set right there in the middle, and the electric cord came up right through here, and you guys can see that's, a strip of metal right there, and the cord went here and went out the door so it wouldn't get stuck, and that cord was bouncing like this right across here, and then eventually it cut through and it was sparking, and then there was like a flame that danced up that ladder a good foot or two, and I thought I was going to see Jesus right away. But luckily, my safety guy that was working with me was able to get it shut off. But I'll tell more of the story outside so it's not so echoey. So you can see the scale of how big the grain bin is from the outside. These things are enormous. We had 4 of them. And then once those 4 were full, we would actually fill that entire barn as well, full of grain on a good year. All right, I'm gonna get a little closer and then explain how these things work. All right, so this right here, there's a grain drill hooked to this into that pipe. And so the one we were just inside of, normally what happens is you would pull your semi truck up underneath outside here, and you hit this thing on. It sucks the grain out, drops it in this bucket, and this machine's on, and it pulls that grain out and then drops it right into, just got bright, we're gonna put these on. And then that drops the grain right into your trailer, and then you haul it off to the mill, sell it to the mill, and they pay you. So you can see, so we got some grain right there. Kind of dirty, so I'm betting that they're going to take that grain, they're going to go clean it over here in our grain cleaner that we have. So normally this happens real naturally. The grain just keeps sinking down and down and down until it gets to the point where you actually have to go in and use a centipede. That's the thing I was telling you guys about. And the centipede pulls the grain to the middle so that it can be sucked out. And that's what I was using when I had that fire and thought things were gonna go boom. Yeah, I'll show you guys some pictures. Oh yeah, some doves. I'll show you guys some pictures of what happens when grain bins explode. Because grain dust is explosive. It can ignite and go boom. So luckily for me, luckily for you guys, would have never been your teacher had that happened. All right, cool. I'm gonna see if I can find the centipede to show you guys what that looks like. Alright, so I tracked one down. This is what the centipede looked like. So you would be inside that giant grain bin over there, and this thing would be hooked to a 5 horsepower electric motor, and that motor would be spinning a couple hundred RPM, so like going around 200 times a minute, maybe even faster. And you had to stand inside there, and you'd have a full respirator on covering your mouth, like in your nose, so that making sure you weren't breathing in that dust because it's not good for your lungs. But basically, you would sit there and you would hold on to this thing as it just shook and rotated over and over and over, and you'd have to work your way all the way around that entire grain bin. And so you can see, like why we had a safety person, because what do you think would happen if this thing hit your leg when it was spinning? Yeah, you wouldn't have that part of your leg anymore, you know what I'm saying? Or if you got a shoelace stuck in, it like got wrapped around it, it would pull your foot into it. Or if your pant legs got wrapped up in the end, like it could go really bad. So that's why we had the safety guy outside who could pull the plug if something went wrong. Now, when I screamed to turn it off, he like didn't do it right away. He popped his head in and he's like, "Well, what's the matter? What's the matter?" And I screamed like, as my whole body like went cold, I screamed, "Shut it off!" You know, boys, you probably remember that story. But yeah, so this is the centipede. We actually have a couple of them here. And this is what would pull that grain to the middle so it could get sucked out through that middle hole and then taken out to the trucks.